All right, you guys, so we are looking at solving exponential equations. Now, you may be thinking, wait a minute, we were just talking about logarithms. Yes, we have to use logarithms to solve an exponential equation. Okay, so let's look at our first example. Now, I know right now you're probably looking at the example going, I know what the answer is. Fantastic. Let me show you how to do the work. All right, so 2 to the x equals 8. All right, I know we know x is 3. All right, I know 2 to the third power equals 8. But how do I get that? How do I solve for a variable that is located in the location of an exponent? Okay. All right, what you do is you take the logarithm of both sides and you take a very particular one. You take the base, okay, with the base of this logarithm, okay? What that's going to do is that's going to cancel. So I'm going to say the log base 2 of 2 to the x equals now log base 2 of 8. All right, so this is what I've done to each side, okay? So think back to equations. You were told that if you had to add something to both sides to keep it equal, but you also learned things about your inverse operations. So if you wanted to invert subtraction, you would add. Same thing with multiplication, you'd use division and vice versa. And then you may remember about taking the square root and squaring something. All right, it's the same thing here if I want to solve for the exponent. Well, I use the inverse, and the inverse of an exponent is a logarithm. Okay, so why did I do that? I did that because that cancels out, okay, this whole left side. This all cancels, and I'm left with x equals log base 2 of 8. Well, that's why you did what you did last week in taking this and evaluating it, okay? So if I switch over here to Desmos, okay, let me get that link up. All right, remember we're going to type it in using the change of base. So if I type log 8 divided by log 2, I get x equals 3. Okay, so I just proved it to you, okay, that I knew the answer was 3, but this is how I algebraically get that the answer is 3. Okay, all right, so let's look at a similar problem. So 10 to the x equals 39. Now this one's not as obvious, okay, because even if I want to do it in my head, well, 10 to the first power is 10, 10 to the second power is 100, okay? So I don't know off the top of my head what x could be in terms of an exponent that's going to give me 39 as my answer. So I'm going to take the log of base 10, so log base 10, okay, 10 to the x equals, and then log base 10, 39. So that's how I keep it balanced. So whatever the log is here, I do the log over here, okay? And whatever the base of my exponent, that's the base of my logarithm, okay? So now this cancels, so I'm left with x equals log base 10 of 39. Okay, and I know that this is some type of decimal value. All right, so if I switch over here, so log 39 divided by log 10. Okay, now we're in base 10. Okay, notice, remember that 10 is understood. Okay, so notice you get the same decimal equivalent. Okay. All right, so x equals, now we need to round properly. So the nearest hundredth, okay, so there's tens, hundredth, so 1.59, okay? So if I go back to Delta Math, 1.59, submit my answer, there we go, okay? All All right. Let's do one more. All right, so 3 to the x equals 93. Okay. All right, so I'm going to take the log. I'm going to use base 3. 3 to the x log base 3 of 93. Okay. All right. So now this cancels out. So I'm left with x equals, okay, and I'm not going to rewrite this anymore because I think now you've got it because this is a number. So I need to figure out what that number is. So log of 93, I totally typed that in wrong, divided by the log of 3. All right, so 4.13, if I'm still rounding to the nearest hundredth, which I am, 4.13. Okay. All right, now let me switch to a different form. Okay, now this is not meant to confuse you. All right, so it says solve for x, rounding to the nearest hundredth. Okay. All right. So 550 times 3 to the x equals 50. Okay, so to solve, we have to isolate the term that has the variable in it by itself on the left-hand side. So since this is 550 times, I'm going to divide both sides by 550. Okay, so that means I'm left with 3 to the x equals, all right, well, the zeros cancel, and 5 over 55 is 1 over 11. Okay, it's perfectly okay that I have a fraction. Okay, now I'm going to take the log of both sides. So log base 3 of 3 to the x equals log base 3 of 1/11. So this cancels. X equals, all right, now I'm going to type this in carefully. So let's delete some of these off of Desmos. So log of 1 divided by, so that didn't work, so I'm going to have to put parentheses, 1 divided by 11. Okay, divided by the log of 3. All right, so I get negative 2.18. Okay, so negative 2.18. Let me type that in again. Submit my answer. Yes, here we go. Okay. Alrighty. So I will come back in a second video and I will do a couple more examples to get you ready for your assignment.